everyone, Chef Brent here, wishing you a happy and healthy holiday season. I thought it'd be fun to bring you my tips for cooking a perfect beef roast for your friends and family to enjoy with the holidays upon us. Now, this is just one way that I think will produce consistent and beautiful results in your home. There's lots of ways I've learned to cook over the years, and you'll read about many different ways to do that, to cook a roast. And they're all fine. This is just one way, and I think, again, it'll produce good, consistent results in your home, okay? Some of those methods are to cook low and slow all the way throughout the process. You can sear the meat before you put it in the oven, and then cook it low and slow, as they like to say, all the way through. Another way to do it is to do low heat early, and then high heat at the end, to roast and caramelize the meat. Another way to do it is high heat early and then low, that's a version of what we're going to do today, where you get nice color developed on the outside of your roast, and then you turn the heat way down to cook it the rest of the way through, so that you don't have an over roasted outside and a bullseye kind of center, where it's like you have a thick layer of kind of overcooked meat and then a red, rosy bullseye center. We're trying to avoid that, okay? So, that being said, before we start, I'd like to talk about the meat that we're going to use. I would suggest going to your butcher and getting a bone-in ribeye. 4 bones should serve, about 5 to 6 pounds should serve about 4 to 6 people, I'd say, approximately. And you want to ask him for a prime rib for a couple of reasons. This particular cut of meat is cut from the primal cut of meat, cut from the cattle, that doesn't get overworked and has a lot of intramuscular fat to it. It creates a beautiful, delicious roast. And one of the reasons that it does that is because it has a lot of intramuscular fat. And what I mean by that is there is all those little white flecks that you see in the meat. That's the intramuscular fat. And believe it or not, that's where you get a lot of your flavor and a lot of your moisture for your meat. And so you select prime, which is the highest grade. Tell your butcher you want a prime, bone-in ribeye. And the reason you want prime, and tell them prime, is because that has the most amount of intramuscular fat. Okay? So, we begin by seasoning liberally with salt and pepper. That's all the ingredients that you're going to need for this, to be honest with you. You could do some chopped garlic and some chopped rosemary. Anything kind of goes. There's a lot of recipes out there. But really, if you nail the salt and the pepper, you're going to have a great, delicious roast. So don't worry about anything else, if you ask me. So we'll season liberally with about 3 to 4 tablespoons should do it for salt on a piece of meat this size. You really want to go heavy on the salt and the pepper, because 1, it's your only seasoning, and 2, because it's a big, thick piece of meat, and this salt's not really going to penetrate to the inside of the meat. So when you slice it, all of the seasoning for all the rest of the meat, all the way through to the center, is going to be coming from the crust on the outside. So it might look like a lot of salt to some of you, but trust me, you're going to want it on there. Maybe just a little bit more. And then a little bit of pepper. Beef really loves salt and pepper. Okay. And then once your piece of meat, your roast, is seasoned up, we're going to take the roast and we're going to put it bone side down onto your cooking pan, and that bone is going to help raise the meat up off the bottom of the pan, let the meat cook evenly, and then you can collect the juices at the end that caramelize on the bottom of the pan to make your jus. So another reason why you want to get a bone in if you can. If you don't get a bone in, you're simply going to have to use a rack to raise that meat off the bottom of the pan so that it cooks evenly and that the drippings fall down into the pan and caramelize. And then you can pour the fat off and we can create the jus in the end from the drippings that cook in the pan. So I'm going to put this on my rack. And I'm going to want to go into a 500-degree oven. And then, once it's in the oven, we'll set the timer for 20 minutes, and we'll cook it for 20 minutes at 500 degrees. And then we're going to shut the oven off. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to shut the oven off because there's a lot of heat in that oven. We've caramelized the outside of the meat perfectly the way we want it. And then we want the residual heat of the oven to cook for another 2 hours with the doors closed. Don't be tempted to open the doors and take a peek. You want to trap all that hot air in there. So don't do it. Okay? You'll be tempted, but it's going to cause problems for your finished product. After it's done, in 2 hours time, you'll take the roast out, and it should look something like this. And normally I would say with most other methods, you would let your meats rest for about 30 minutes under a piece of foil for this size. But because you turn the oven off and it's been slowly losing temperature the whole time, it's effectively rested inside the oven the whole time. So this roast is ready for you to slice and serve. I think in your house, this, with the type of ovens that you typically find in the home, this will create a beautiful, consistent result every single time. And then you can simply serve that with a classical accompaniment of some au jus that we can make with the pan drippings and perhaps a little bit of horseradish cream sauce. And you'll have a beautiful roast for your friends and family, and you'll be the star of the show, I think. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy that, and I hope it works out for you.